Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm super excited to have the amazing Catharine Ross with us today, who is an exceptional EFT practitioner who contributes to the Naturpreneur Hub. And I have personally found amazing results with EFT and tapping. And I know that we're always looking for different ways to clear our blocks, to really notice what's going on and do something about it to become unstuck. Because sometimes we find that we are stuck, and sometimes we find, oh yes, this is the problem, but then we don't know how to actually move through that energetically. We don't know how to get ourselves along with it. And I found that EFT is one of the quickest and easiest ways to do it, even if you are in your brain about it, even if, you know, all sorts of things. And I found that Catharine is amazing at helping business people just like us clear our blocks. So welcome, Catharine.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Tammy.
I'm super excited to get in today. So how did you get into EFT in the first place?
Yeah, well, I've had my business now in EFT for 7 years, but I was introduced to EFT as a teenager. So through my mum, who went, in her way of trying to help me, she had taken me to all these different types of therapies, talk therapy, conventional therapies, even alternative therapies as well, to try to help me through some of my own stuff and my traumas that I'd been through, particularly through the teenage years. And she came across EFT, and when I went to actually see somebody, I had some really incredible results because it was working on the subconscious as opposed to the conscious brain, which is what the talk therapy is all about. It's the conscious side of things that we're trying to overcome. And I found it to be a lot easier. I was able to actually let go of several memories that were, triggering me and keeping me very stuck. And so I thought, hey, this is pretty good stuff. And I left it alone for a while. I went through the whole sales side. I went through a million different jobs trying to find what I wanted to do. I started my Bachelor of Health Sciences in Naturopathy because I know that I've always had a huge interest in natural health. My parents have been part of the health industry for over 40 years. So that was always my inclination towards something like that. But then, thinking about this technique, I was like, well, it's really, really important. It's so valuable, and it's something that really needs to be brought to the world. So maybe I should immerse myself in that. And after being made redundant 3 times from my business management.
Hello, universe.
Exactly. I wasn't actually that shit. It was good. But yeah, it was a good kick up the bottom that I needed to actually go, right, I need to do something heart-centered. And I thought, yeah, this is it, because it was, being at the bottom of a new healing high-rise. And over these last 7 years, the awareness of EFT has increased just amazingly, and more mainstream media is taking it on. I've recently filmed a segment for Channel 7 on it, so it's really getting out there, and it's so amazing to see how it's helping so many different people in so many areas. So I'm very, very grateful to be part of it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love that it's often the case, and what I find with my mentees especially is that thing that in the background that you just take for granted is actually your thing. Like you've been doing it for such a long time, and it takes all of these weird and wacky challenges that and we've talked about it before, the shit sandwich of, oh, I got made redundant. But on the other side of it, you're, finally living in alignment and your truth and sharing it with the world. It's so cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the other thing that you mentioned was around the types of results. That tapping is becoming more and more prevalent. And it would have been 10 years ago when I was first starting out my business. I heard about it because I went to a conference, and there was somebody, a very well-known person now in the tapping kind of industry, who was there at the conference. And I was like, oh, this is so weird, because I had my science head on, right?
Yeah.
And something you mentioned about unconscious versus conscious. My science head was going, right, you tap different parts of your skin and it's supposed to do something. So,
Yeah.
So how does it work, and what's all that about?
Yeah, so it looks really funny and it sounds really unbelievable, but it does work. And thankfully, science is actually proving that it does work. So I'm very balanced in my left and right brain. I can be very, very woo-woo, but I also like to know why things work and how they work. So I'm big into the science around EFT, and there are so many clinical trials, meta-analyses, systematic reviews, peer-reviewed articles, and journals, and it's amazing how it's all coming together from that perspective. But it works on the neural pathways in the brain, and it also helps to shut down the fight or flight response in the amygdala. So the amygdala is that little part of our limbic system in the brain that's triggered into fight or flight whenever we perceive that there's a threat. Whether we are aware that it's a threat or not, it's still, taking in that information and triggering us into stress. Anytime that we're stressed out, we're going to have that little part of our brain light up and send the message to the rest of our body that it's in danger. So when we're tapping, we're actually tapping on these meridian points. So, the channels of energy in the body. And there's a series of points that we use. In general EFT, it's just 9 points that we use, 9 basic points, and they're on the face and upper body. And when we tap and we talk about our problems, instead of just talking about our problems and triggering that stress response, the tapping actually itself is putting kinetic energy into the body and helping to rewire the brain to think about the problem differently. So, for instance, if they hooked people up to brain scans, fMRI brain scans, and they exposed them to something that was stressing them out, say you had a spider phobia, what they would notice is that if they're not tapping and they're looking at the spider, they'll just go, that little part is going nuts in the brain. But when they noticed that the person was tapping and talking about how scared they were, the way the spider looked, the way it moved, what actually contributed to that phobia, and they were tapping those points at the same time, the stress response was called off. So that's how it actually helps to not only in the moment take the stress out of the situation and calm us down, but it also helps to reprogram the brain's longer term memory to recognize that whatever it is that's a threat, whether it's, a spider in front of us, whether it's a past memory that's happening, whether it's, a fear of public speaking, whatever, it's no longer a threat, and we can actually file that away under things that have, we have survived from. So, and we can move forward. So it's amazing. There's lots of different ways to explain it, but that's sort of the basic way that EFT works, but it works for all different types of things, and it's been clinically proven for lots of different issues, including anxiety and PTSD, which is so important, especially in today's world, I think, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have found such amazing results from it. So from my first experience of being exposed to it at this conference where there was like 200 entrepreneurs all going crazy and cheerleading and all that, that hoo-ha-ha, and then all standing there tapping different parts of ourselves.
Yeah.
And I was just, whoa. And then I did my own research very similar to what you're describing, and is mounting evidence to show that, and all of these different ways, it's not just the meridians, it's not just it's working on so many different levels.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you mentioned about public speaking. So every single time I start to feel that little niggle, and I used to tap to a script that I had, and it changed the way that I was thinking about things. And now I'm really in alignment with how excited I get in public speaking, rather than the fear and the anxiety that I used to feel the bigger the crowd. And now it's really shifted the way that I think about these things. And it's not about thinking about it either. So when I first started tapping, what I realized, I was consciously trying to consciously take over the trying and the trying consciousness of it. And then as soon as I let go of that and just tapped along, the magic started happening.
Yeah, because it's our subconscious that holds all of these beliefs and memories, and it's like a massive filing cabinet. So we don't even have to believe in what we're saying when we're tapping. It's because it's speaking to the unconscious mind, and that's the benefit as well. So it's not a placebo effect. It doesn't, the more you believe in it doesn't mean the more it works. You just have to give it a go, and it works on all different. It works on animals, it works on babies, it works on children, it works on my daughter as well. So she doesn't have any blocks that I'm aware of to it working. So it's amazing how it's really the people's method, and it's such a global healing tool that's applicable to so many issues as well.
Yeah, and you don't need a machine to do it, and you don't need some random thing. It's just a matter of giving it a go. I love that. And and you don't even have to believe in the words you're saying. It's a real clincher for me, especially an overthinker, and a lot of our tribe are all learners and thinkers. And so you don't even have to believe the words that you're saying. It's just realigning and reprogramming your neural pathways. I love it. So Um, Today I wanted to ask you. So, ooh, there we go. Today I wanted to connect with you specifically because I know a lot of our tribe have some fears, and I get emails every week about fears of the three biggest fears are one is overwhelm.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, I'm overwhelmed. What do I do in my business? How am I ever going to get any clients? How am I ever going to make any money? I need more clients. I need more money. I just don't know what to do. It's all overwhelming. So this sense of overwhelm is really prevalent in the shift and the change that we are experiencing as a profession. And I wanted to really connect with how we can tap through that feeling of overwhelm, particularly into an abundance mindset, because abundance is everywhere when we start looking. But when we are neurally pathwayed, if we have these grooves in our brain that are all looking for lack and competition, it becomes really difficult to see where abundance actually is. And so, yeah, those biggest challenges, I was wondering if we could do some tapping with you today. So you can give us an insight into how we could, especially for those who haven't tried tapping before, how we do it, how weird we actually look with it, and how to just go along and see what comes up.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's the same stuff I've had to overcome in my business as well. And when I started, I knew no one. I had just moved to Melbourne. I didn't have any money at all because I'd just been made redundant, like no redundancy package. It was just, that's it. It was Christmas time. So I had a lot of...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, charming. And I had a lot of blocks to abundance and a lot of blocks to success. And I think also being in like an alternative healing space as well, we can have all these other beliefs that come up, that we come up against, as well as to, you know, what we're worthy of attracting or achieving, what we're able to earn, whether it's even spiritual, to, you know, charge for our services, all these types of things, credibility issues, they all just, they build up. So I had to overcome all of those things. And, you know, at every single stage, you're going to be faced with your stuff, and there's no bigger way to actually start healing your life than to go and start a business because we might be wanting to go and heal other people, but it's like, oh shit, I've got to heal myself first, and these are the things I need to overcome. So yeah, I found tapping can be immensely beneficial to getting those things out of the way, and particularly with my own business as well. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping other people who are starting a business or already, you know, way into it, to, you know, just knock off those ceilings that we come up against every level.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome.
Okay. So let's get into it.
Okay.
All right. So I'll take you through the points that we use. So the first one, it's very simple. It's called the karate chop point. So all you do is just choose a side, left or right. Doesn't matter. It's not like if you know, choose left side, you're going to be better, or the right side, whatever. Just whatever's dominant to you. And you use your opposite hand to tap. So you're tapping on the side of the hand there where you hit the board in karate. Then you break the board. And it's just light tapping. So it's not the harder that you tap, the more results you get. You're bashing your face. Just little fairy taps. And then the second point is the top of the head, so where the flat part is there. Yep. And then we move down to the eyebrow point. So it's not in the middle of the head, but it's where the eyebrow actually starts. Just on that same side. Yep. And you just use the same side that you're tapping on. So instead of having to cross over and everything, it just makes it a little bit easier. And then the side of the eye, so where the eye socket is there, the outer bone. Then under the eye, where that bone is there. Under the nose. On the chin crease. And then it's called the collarbone or the sore spot. So it's not actually on the collarbone, but if you find the collarbone and you just sort of move around.
Oh yeah, I found it.
Yeah, where it's a bit sore. That's it. And you tap there. It's like the gorillas, you know, they beat their chest, same kind of same area. Yeah. And then the last one is under the arm where your bra strap sits, or about 3 inches down from your armpit.
It's a sore spot too.
Yeah.
I find.
Beautiful. All right, so they're the basic points that we use. So when we actually use the karate chop point, that's when we say our problem, but we accept ourselves with it anyway. So that's like a balancing statement, because, you know, most of the time we spend so much time trying to deny we actually have problems that voicing the negative, saying like, look, I have this problem, but I still love and accept myself, is really, really healing. So it's so powerful to actually do that. And that's why we say that on the karate chop point. All right. So I'll give you an example. It might be, even though I have this lack mentality, I love and accept myself anyway. And we say that twice. Even though I have this lack mentality, because there's never enough, I love and accept myself.
Okay, even though I have this lack mentality, even though there's not enough, I love and accept myself anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So we create a setup phrase, which is what the problem is, and we love and accept ourselves. And then we'd move through the rest of the points, tapping and talking about the issue. So it's very simple with EFT. There's no, hard and fast rules. You can't stuff it up. Even if you just repeat the same phrase throughout the whole tapping round, that's okay as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. So what should we tap on? You tell me exactly what you think would be a good topic to tap on that most people get stuck on.
Overwhelm is a big one because that gets people really stuck.
Okay.
Because overwhelm, that feeling when there is just so much to do and so many things to look at, and that you just don't know what to do, so you do nothing.
Yeah, and at least procrastination and
all of those things. Procrastination, not doing enough, not seeing enough, all of the things.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so give me a little bit more detail about this overwhelm. What are people mainly overwhelmed about?
Overwhelmed by all of the things to do in business, all of the things to get new clients, overwhelmed by all of the tasks on the to-do list, overwhelmed by not getting any results from seeing all of the to-do list and not getting any results from it. And what's that real sense of stuck, not knowing what's going to work.
Yeah. Okay, and overwhelm will block abundance as well.
100%. Oh my goodness, there's such a huge link between the two of them.
Yeah.
And it's actually interesting because it's actually an abundance of opportunity coming, an abundance of possibility, an abundance of all sorts of things. But because there is so much,
you're like,
I can do nothing.
And that's so true, even with what I do, because EFT's applications are so broad and so varied that I can sit there and be like, oh my God, literally, and I'm blessed in this word because there are so many ways that you can use EFT. And I think that I ended up finding my niche because I was like, oh my God, there's so much I could focus on. I'm so anxious about it all. And I'm like, oh, it's anxiety. So yeah, it's and when you clear that, then you can actually focus and you get that laser focus. And EFT not only helps to take the emotional stuff away from, it detaches the emotion from the event or detaches the emotion from whatever it is that you're experiencing, but it's like tuning the television from that screen of ants, which is us overwhelm and stress, to a clear picture. And when we have, an absence of stress in our body, we can see things clearly. Our prefrontal cortex is switched back on because that's actually switched off when we're in fight or flight. We can problem solve effectively. We can, see solutions where we previously couldn't as well. So EFT is fantastic for overwhelm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, good. So when we're thinking about being overwhelmed and all of these things underneath it, you'd sit there before tapping and you would rate the intensity of that overwhelming feeling out of 10. So it's a good idea to connect with whereabouts the energy of that overwhelm is in your body. So it might be in your heart, it might be in your stomach, it might be anywhere. There's no right or wrong. And you just tune into it and rate it out of 10. So how intense is that overwhelming feeling right now out of 10 for you?
Okay. So anyone who's listening, tune in.
Think about everything that you have to do.
Mine's probably around here.
Yeah.
And I would say that it's in the 7-ish zone.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And so because there are a lot of things that are obviously contributing to overwhelm, we need to be specific as well. So choose a couple of things that are going to contribute either to your overwhelm or to the people that you work with. So what would...
Fear of failure and fear of not enough.
Okay. All right. So we can play around with this a little bit because they're two specific things that are really good to work on. But yeah, combined, of course, that's going to cause overwhelm. All right. Beautiful. So we've got a number out of 10. All right. So we have a baseline. We know where we're at. And then after 3 rounds of tapping, we'll check in again and see how that number's going. Okay.
Cool. I like it.
Great. So you get the tangible stuff. It's not just like tapping around and going, oh, I don't know. That wasn't even a problem, was it? And that's how you get lost as to whatever it is, like the emotion, the event, or the feeling out of 10 before we start. All right, so we start off on the karate chop point. So anyone who's watching, I just want you to think about that overwhelm. You've got your number out of 10. Just zero in on it. Focus on all the things that are overwhelming you. And start tapping and just repeating what I say and tap where I tap. Even though I have all of this overwhelming fear.
I have all of this overwhelming fear.
Of failure and not being good enough.
Of failure and not being good enough.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though
I
have all of this fear.
I have all of this fear.
That I might fail.
That I might fail.
Because of all of this overwhelm I'm feeling.
Because of all of this overwhelm I'm feeling.
And there's so many things to do.
And there's so many things to do.
All flying at me.
All flying at me.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Okay. All of this overwhelm.
All of this overwhelm.
There's so much to do.
There's so much to do.
I don't even know where to start.
I don't even know where to start.
It's so overwhelming.
It's so overwhelming.
All of these choices I have.
All of these choices that I have.
I don't know where to start.
I don't know where to start.
And it's keeping me really stuck.
And it's keeping me really stuck.
All this overwhelming fear.
All this overwhelming fear.
That I might not be good enough.
That I might not be good enough.
That I might be rejected or fail.
That I might be rejected or fail.
And I'm sitting here in all this overwhelm.
And I'm sitting here in all this overwhelm.
Feeling so overwhelmed.
Feeling so overwhelmed.
All this overwhelming feeling.
All this overwhelming feeling.
Just can't get clear.
Just can't get clear.
I'm going to run the other way.
I'm going to run the other way.
I'm just trying to keep myself safe.
I'm just trying to keep myself safe.
And overwhelm is a pretty good way to do that.
And overwhelm is a pretty good way to do that.
All this overwhelming feeling.
All this overwhelming feeling.
I'm so overwhelmed about everything.
I'm so overwhelmed about everything.
All this stressful overwhelm.
All this stressful overwhelm.
Worrying I might not be good enough.
Worrying I might not be good enough.
I might be rejected or fail.
I might be rejected or fail.
All this overwhelm.
All this overwhelm.
I'm so overwhelmed.
I'm so overwhelmed.
Okay, so now we take a nice deep breath in and out. And you're going to tune into that feeling again.
Mm-hmm.
Overwhelm. Think of whatever it is that's overwhelming you and just rate it out of 10.
I'm down to a 4.
Mm-hmm. Good. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's a very, very quick few rounds of tapping that we did. It was probably about a minute in total. So if your number hasn't gone down, so for anyone watching, don't worry, don't go, okay, I'm shutting this computer down, this doesn't work. Okay, it's just a matter of getting more specific. So it's a few rounds, check in, right? We're tapping on the negative. And people often say to me, why do we tap on the negative? I don't want to inculcate that. I'm going to draw more of that stuff to me. Don't freak out, okay? Because that's actually what we want to release. So we're tapping on what we want to release.
Yeah, and I found even just then, actually saying it all whilst tapping, you're like, oh, it's just dissipating. I don't,
yeah.
You know, it's like words come out instead. Right at the beginning, I was like, oh my God, she's so right. Oh my gosh, she's so right. And then the second or third time around, I'm like, oh, they're just words. They're just words, more words coming out.
And it takes the charge out of it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, yeah. And when you've done that, so when you actually get those numbers down a little bit, you can start tapping in some positive stuff and some affirmations. Yeah. So should we do that then?
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful. So if you've got your number down to about a 4 or it's come down a few, then we can actually start getting a bit more creative with what we say and we get into the feel good, happy, joy, warm, fuzzy stuff, okay?
Awesome.
So we start off with the original setup phrase, which is the even though. So even
though
I have all this overwhelm.
I have all this overwhelm.
Because there are too many things to do.
Because there are too many things to do.
And I'm just left feeling stuck.
And I'm just left feeling stuck.
Because if I try to do any of them, I might fail. Or I might not be rejected. Or I might be rejected. I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this overwhelming feeling that if I were to take action, I might fail or be rejected. All my stuff might come out. So I'm just going to stay here. And be with this overwhelm. I deeply and completely accept myself. All this overwhelming feeling. It's just keeping me safe. Because I don't want to be exposed and vulnerable. And the minute I take action towards something definitive, I'm opening myself up for that rejection. And that fear of failure. But what if that's just in my head? What if I were to feel really good? What if it felt really good? What if things were actually to turn out okay?
What if everything turned out okay?
What if I wasn't a failure but a success?
What if I wasn't a failure but a success?
I choose to feel safe taking action now.
I'm
releasing this overwhelming feeling. Every cell in my body. I'm choosing to clear any associated procrastination. And I can see my goals clearly now. All this overwhelming feeling. I don't need to keep myself safe anymore. I don't need to keep playing small. There's no need to hide away anymore. I am safe and success is safe for me. I choose to take action. And even if I fail, as long as I'm failing forward, that's okay. Releasing all this overwhelm now. Release and let it go. It's safe to let it go. I choose to feel calm and at peace. I choose clarity now. I can choose to focus on one thing at a time. And know that it's safe to do that. It's safe for me to take action now. You released something there.
I did.
I am deeply safe. Okay, deep breath in and out. And why we like to say, I am safe, it's safe for me to blah, 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 is because you're directly talking to that stress response who is only trying to keep you safe because your subconscious exists to keep you safe. It's very black and white, has no sense of humor, it doesn't rationalize, it can't differentiate between past and present. If you have, say a workshop that you need to run and you're getting really stressed out about it and overwhelmed at all the things you have to do, it's actually thinking it's doing a good job by keeping you where you are, because otherwise you'd be exposed and vulnerable to criticism, lack of sales, lack of attendees, blah, blah, blah. And so therefore by saying I'm safe, success is safe, this particular issue is safe, you're allowing your body and your subconscious to relax around it and, open yourself up to those possibilities and opportunities.
I love that. I often talk about staying inside your comfort zone, and it's nice and safe in here, but all the growth happens out here.
Absolutely.
But your amygdala is going, no, let's stay in here because anything outside of there is different and unsafe. But you're teaching it that actually it's safe out here, actually.
Absolutely. And, we're not born with that, or sometimes we are because we're taking on beliefs in the womb. But, we actually get those beliefs and those experiences and we create beliefs around the experiences that we have, particularly if they're traumatic. And, we think about trauma as in big stuff, that's happening and everything, but there's little traumas as well. So it might be, at school when we stood up to give a presentation, we forgot the words and everyone laughed at us. And we wonder why, as an adult, we go to present, in a workshop and we're like, oh, and we get that fear that's happening.
Yeah.
So it helps to rationalize that, hey, that experience is over, that public speaking is now safe. And that's how it can work in that way. So how is that overwhelming feeling going? What did you notice throughout that tapping round?
Oh, at the beginning towards, well, the last half, the invoking the new. I was like, these are all words, these are all words. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden I was like, oh, that actually feels different. And I got out of my way and it was just all, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Beautiful. And often stuff will come to us while we tap as well. So it's not just about focusing on the numbers coming down, which is what we want because we want to take the intensity out of the issue. But often we'll have like an event pop into our mind or
Okay, yeah. So that happened to me. Because 2 weeks ago I failed my my aviation exam, and I'm sitting another one coming up,
yeah.
and I was like, oh, this has to do with that as well. Of course, I can take action towards studying for that because it doesn't really matter for that. It's like, oh, tuk, 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 tuk.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like a tree, and we've got these belief systems of the roots, and then it's the trunk that we have the experiences, and then all the branches and the leaves are symptoms. And a belief that I'm not good enough, for instance, which is such a huge belief I come across in my practice, it's going to have offshoots to literally every area of our lives. So often when we're working on say these abundance blocks in business, we'll notice other things in our lives shifting as well. So it's such a holistic therapy, because when you heal, you don't just heal one particular aspect of your life. You're actually generating that healing response to lots of different areas, and even physical stuff as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, super cool. So thank you so much, Catharine. If anyone wants to find you, where would we look?
Sure. So my webpage is breakfreewitheft.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a YouTube channel under the same name, and a Facebook page as well. So, that's got some information on it about the deeper EFT that I do too. So I do a more advanced application of tapping called matrix re-imprinting. And that stuff's really cool for getting to the core of the issue really quickly and effectively, helping to reprogram what's gone on. I work a lot with trauma and things like that too. So that's really good for the deeper stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And some resources on my website that you might be able to access, business things as well. But always
somewhere around this video, we actually have a beautiful link. Catharine's created a very specific business abundance script so that you can tap along whilst reading it and making sure that you are connecting with those same blocks, that lack feeling, those things. When they come up and you're worried about all of that, you can actually just tap along with Catharine, which is super cool.
And even if it's 5 minutes a day that you tap, every little bit helps to soften those grooves, those neural pathways, and create new ones in the brain as well. So it's very simple, it's effective, it's quick, and you can do it anytime, anywhere, for any issue, and that's the biggest benefit of EFT.
Love it. Yes. So making it a habit is a really great last point. I've been making a habit of meditation in the mornings and tapping at night, because once you're releasing it, it's so much easier to go to sleep as well.
Yeah, because how often do we sit there thinking about everything that's causing us stress during the day, and we're sitting there in fight or flight without even realizing. So if you tap, you're just helping the body to process whatever it is that has gone on in the day or that's stressing you out. And so it's like animals, because if animals of prey sense danger in their environment, they often sleep with their eyes open or standing up, because they are more vulnerable if they close their eyes and go to sleep to being eaten. So it's similar to us. If we feel that we are somehow stressed in our environment, we're not going to shut off properly. Yeah. So EFT can be such a great calming tool. I use it with my daughter, who's 2.5, and it just helps to counteract that stress response and gets us into that parasympathetic nervous system as well.
Well, that was wonderful. Thank you so very, very much, Catharine. And we'll be looking forward to any of your new resources or anything that's coming out. Thanks again.
Beautiful. All right. Thanks, Tammy. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.